Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, this is TJ from Tampa. Love the show, Dave. Super excited to get going with our season finally. I know all of us are hoping that Deshaun Watson stays healthy and plays well. That's a given. What worries me and what I haven't heard much discussion about is let's assume that Watson does stay relatively healthy. How long do we give him to start playing like a top 10, 12 quarterback in this league? I think it's inevitable. If he doesn't play well the first 3, 4, 5 games, we're going to hear that he's a slow starter. We're going to hear he's rusty. He didn't play in the preseason. The O-line is not 100%. We're going to hear all of that. This team's too talented to just keep waiting. At what point would we maybe see Jameis Winston if things go wrong? Just curious on your thoughts. As always, go Brownies.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Tim, I don't know about you. I don't think if Deshaun Watson is healthy, I don't think Jameis Winston will play. I think they got to figure it out, and they'll give it the entire year. And if he just doesn't look, and I fully believe if he stays healthy, he's going to have a nice year.
Yeah, you and me both. We've talked about it, throughout the offseason. I think Deshaun Watson, the more he's played in Cleveland, the better he's looked. And I think that's, the ultimate thing, coming into the season is can he be out there for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 games in a row? Because I think that's when, like you said, he can establish that rhythm, establish that consistency, and, look comfortable out there. And I think obviously the more he's played, the more comfortable he's looked. And I look at the schedule. The Cowboys, obviously, we've talked about their defense a lot. Going to Jacksonville week 2 is not going to be a cakewalk either because Jacksonville's got a pretty good defense as well. So that's going to be an interesting test. When I look at the schedule and where I would think, okay, this is kind of the point where I want to see something out of Deshaun Watson where he's looking good, I would look at the week 5 trip to Washington for me because I think obviously, when you got after those two, you got games against the Giants and Raiders. Those are both extremely winnable games, especially the home game against the Giants. The Raiders, I think it's going to be tricky because the Browns have had some tricky games against the Raiders in the past. Washington, I think for me in week 5 will be very interesting. Obviously, I would expect the Browns to win that game, but going up against that front, that's the game where you could argue that up until his performance in Baltimore, that was Deshaun Watson's best game, what he did in that second half against Washington in 2022. So I would think 5, 6 weeks for me would be okay. This is kind of who Deshaun Watson is going forward. That would kind of be at the baseline my barometer for him.